So yesterday, you did some work on your own. I'm hoping that you did some work on your own. If you didn't do this religion work, you're going to start with that today. Does that make sense? Those of you at home, George, I know you did this work, right? I'm trying to say their names so that they keep listening, right? Charlie and Luke, and Harper, and Gavin. This way they're listening the whole time. So let's look at the show what you know. I can't tell you, let's look at page 57, please, 5-7 in your religion books. And Adam, you're going to just kind of hang out with us for religion. I'll give you the test when we take it, but I'm not going to grade it, like just so you can see a test and know how things work. Does that make sense? So I'll give you the work to do, but don't stress. This is our last religion test of the trimester. This is a big deal. Look at these words: Paschal mystery, incarnation, assumption, and ascension. Do you see them? We're on page 57. The Paschal mystery is the life, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus. Sometimes you'll see it as the life, the birth, the life, the suffering, the death, and the resurrection. But those are all the same things, right? But it's the life, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus. If that's not what you have written down, and you want to add more detail, of course, here's a hint. These questions, you know that the vocab is going to be on your assessment. You know this. This is not new. The vocab will be there, but there are some short answers that go back with these vocab questions. So if you don't know what the words mean, that's a problem. I'm telling you that now so that you can take the time to remember and relearn what the words mean. Does that make sense? You need to know what all of these words mean. Incarnation. This is important. Pay attention. It is the mystery that God became truly, that Jesus was truly man and truly God. Jesus was truly man and truly God.
Is it trying to say that it says if one for only Son of God became man?
You need to know that he's truly God and truly man. Because the way you wrote it, what Sasha said was that the only Son of God became man. That sounds okay, but it also sounds a lot like that Hercules, right? Remember Hercules, where we watched that at lunch, where Hercules came to Earth and he was not a god anymore except for part of him? This is not what we're talking about. Yes?
I wrote it with an Adam book. Is the second person in the Trinity taking human nature?
The second person in the Trinity taking on human nature. And remember, the second person in the Trinity is Jesus, so you need to make sure you put that in your answer just so I know you know it. Jesus was not part God and part man. He was all the way God and all the way man at the same time. And that is one of the mysteries of our faith, because if you're thinking, well, how? So were many theologians and people who studied religion for a long time. That is a challenge. It's hard to understand that. And the mysteries of our faith are things that it's okay for us not to fully understand. But you need to know them. And you need to have an understanding of them. So when you get older and you start to do more studying and deeper studying, then you can start to get a better understanding. Does that make sense? Our religion, sometimes it's like other subjects. When you learn the alphabet, first you learned what the letters were, right? Then you learned what sounds they made. Then you started smashing them together to make words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you read words at the very beginning?
No.
No, of course not. Learning our religion is kind of like that. You're learning the basics right now. If you know the basics, then you can grow in understanding. Okay, so don't be frustrated if you're like, I don't understand this after a few minutes in a 5th grade religion class. You won't. Not everything. Theologians have studied and studied and studied and spent their whole lives trying to understand it, and they struggle with it. But what I need you to know, this is so important. Jesus was all the way God and all the way man at the same time. That's important because if he wasn't all the way human, when he died, it wouldn't have meant anything because gods don't die. He was all the way God, which is how he rose from the dead, but he was all the way human, which is how he died. Cover that nose, my friend. The Assumption is when Mary went up to heaven. That's important because right from the beginning of her life, God knew that he had a special plan for her, so she was born without original sin. What's it called, being born without original sin? What was that word? Helen?
Original holiness?
Nope, not original holiness.
Original justice?
Nope. Immaculate conception. From the moment that Mary's mom became pregnant, Mary had no sin. That's called the Immaculate Conception. If you're staring blankly at me and not writing down a note to study the Immaculate Conception and know what that means, then that's going to cause you a problem. The Immaculate Conception, you need to know about that, yes. Immaculate Conception. The word immaculate means very clean. Conception is when a human is created through, when a woman becomes pregnant. Immaculate conception, Mary was born without original sin. She had to be perfectly holy in order to be ready to be the mother of Jesus. Because she was perfectly holy, when it was time for her time on earth to be done, God brought her directly to heaven, body and soul, immediately up to heaven. And that was the assumption. When Mary was taken up, that's the assumption. The ascension is when Jesus rose and went to heaven. After he rose from the dead, not when he rose, I'm sorry. When he rose from the dead, that's the resurrection. The ascension is when Jesus went to heaven. Jesus went to heaven to be back with God. Where does he sit?
On the right.
On the right hand of God the Father. Yep, that's important to know. All right, Christ's resurrection and ascension should mean, when you wrote this, it means we have the hope of eternal life. Because Jesus suffered, died, and rose for us, heaven is open for us. Yes?
It means a lot because Jesus made it so we can get into heaven.
Yep, Jesus made it so we can get into heaven. Perfect. How would you describe the importance of Jesus' humanity and divinity to a friend who does not know him? Hang on. What does humanity mean? What does it mean, humanity? What's that word mean?
Human life?
Human life. So humanity means he's human. Divinity, what does divinity mean? Not sure how I may answer this if you don't know what divinity means.
It means that like he's like God.
He's a God. Yeah, divine. Divine means God. So how do you explain to somebody? That's really hard. This is a deep thinking question because I just said that's one of the mysteries of our faith. But how would you explain it to a friend? Kelly?
Is that when he died on the cross, he died because he was like fully human, but he rose from the dead because he was fully God.
Absolutely, that's a great explanation. He died on the cross because he's fully human. He rose from the dead because he's fully God. On the next page, there's the mini task. Review the truths about Mary. From what you know, write a title in the space and share a message about Mary with others. So, what are some titles of Mary?
Mary, our mother.
Mary, our mother, yes.
The mother of God.
Mother of God. She's our mother, she's the mother of God. Yes.
Lady of Guadalupe.
Our Lady of Guadalupe, yes. She's the patroness of the Americas. That means she's the one that all the people in all the Americas, North America, South America, Central America, she's there to help all of us.
Mother of the Rosary.
Mother of the Rosary, absolutely. And then you did some information about messages about Mary to share with others. Are we good with those? What are some messages that we wrote? We're sharing, remember we're in active participation class. Everybody look this way? We're gonna actively participate. What are some messages that we wrote? Josh?
Mary is the mother of Jesus and she loves us all in many ways.
Mary is the mother of Jesus. She loves us all in many ways. Perfect. Sasha?
Mary is courageous and accepted Jesus.
Mary is courageous and accepted Jesus. That was a lot. And remember, I like what you mentioned there, because Mary still had free will. So she had the option of saying, nope, not interested. chose, because God sent an angel to ask her. He didn't say, hey, you're gonna be the mother of Jesus. He sent somebody to ask her, which meant she had the option of saying no. Joseph, what were you going to share?
I was gonna share with Jackson.
Okay. All right. We have our study notes. So Adam, what we do is, the first thing we do, and it tells you what pages to look for, this is called a closed reading. I don't know if you've done those before or not, but I started sentences and you just fill in the blanks. So you have to read. Okay, so it's not a lot of thinking. The top part is not that much thinking, right? This should move very quickly. What we do a little differently is after we read, not during, after, then you go back and highlight these sentences in your book. And we do it after so that you have to look at your book 2 times. Because I'm mean like that. I want kids back in their book. I know, no arguing, we're gonna do this. Then, what I did a little bit on the back, these are 2 important questions. They're on the back of your study session. These are not, there's no page number, this is in your own words. Tell me what you remember. Fair enough? So you're going to work on this. This should not take you very long. If you're really focused and pay attention, this should not take you long at all, because there are only 20.
Low battery, please charge.
Oh my goodness. I'll stop talking in just a minute. 20, there are only 20 fill in the blank things. Once you find the sentence, fill them in. You should be moving at a very rapid speed. Does that make sense? If you're staring at the paper and not writing, then you're doing it wrong. You're going to go through and work very quickly. Kelly?
You have it after.
Highlight when you're all the way done. Yep. Are we ready? We're going to cut the video.